How did you make your first $100,000? I am making a financial research to understand how people made their first $100,000. Just need to know, what amount did you start with? How long it took? Can you explain in short terms how? If you can also answer in which country, that would help me a lot. US-based equipment repair business started when a local store closed down. Around $2,000 startup costs. Loan for a small van, bought tools, used credit cards for replacement parts, set up website, LLC, etc. 12 to 18 months for $100,000 gross. Google Ads to get residential clients at first, pushing for and incentivizing and rewarding Google reviews, prioritizing commercial contracts, started with $12,000 in promised annual commercial contracts. Focusing on Google reviews has to be the best thing to do as a residential service provider, made life much easier and less stressful, seeing appointments roll into online booking without phone calls. I have a wine company based in Massachusetts. I started with $35K cash. I got the money from selling my Dogecoin a few years ago. After that, I made the first $100K profit in late 2022. Lot of networking and having a personal touch to the way I advertise to restaurants. I'm also biased, but I do like to say my ciders and meats are fucking delicious, lol. US started a painting company. $5K in startup materials and administration costs. 10 months. I live in a wealthy suburb and spread the word at my local country club, did a lot of work in those homes, then leaned heavy on non-paid social media such as Facebook, Google My Business, and Nextdoor. Sharing photos of work I did in $2+ million homes early on helped me lock down a wealthy customer base. Now it's mostly referral-based business. That was the plan day one, and I was able to execute. Note, I came from the professional world and already had a good financial safety net, which made things a bit easier and gave me a leg up over other new businesses in my field. I started my first business when I was 24 and pregnant, lol. Doing websites and graphic design. Started out with $50. I made my first $100K with it in about 11 months' time. I was very successful and took on 2 other business partners from 2 other countries to help me expand. This was in 2001. I sold the business in 2012 so that I could take my graphic design experience to another level. Garment design, I started a screen printing business in 2013 that we still own today. Of course, it has grown to DTF and lots of other options since then. I made my first $100K with it in about 22 months, as the first year was spent basically learning. In 2019, my now husband and I bought a struggling tanning salon from a friend. Then COVID hit in 2020 and shut us down for a while. Our first $100K of pure profit from this came in 22 and has grown ever since. My husband also opened an outdoor hobby store, which started online. He made his first 100 in sales in about 6 months, but pure $100K profit was roughly 14 months later. He has recently taken that from strictly online to now a 17,000 square foot building. 100K hasn't been yet on that, and I am running an online boutique with 2 friends of mine which we launched just 3 months ago. The main thing is to love what you do. Make sure your business is something you are passionate about. I have a friend who is an amazing cake decorator. However, she loves it as a hobby. Once she made a business from it, she grew tired of it and her passion for what she is good at slowly went away. For me, it was property inspection business. Bought a GPS and a laptop, had a car already. Worked alone for the first year, then hired subcontractors the following year. About $130,000 gross 3rd year in. Going on year 8, looking at $200,000 projected. I leveraged my graphic design abilities into designing t-shirts and selling them on Amazon's print-on-demand platform. Initially, I didn't see any future profit potential in it, so I didn't spend a lot of time working on it. That changed after 2 years and I put more effort into it and made $50,000 net that year, and I've made well over $100,000 in profits each year after. This year might be $200,000. My only expenses are Amazon PPC advertising, which averages between $1,500 to $2,000/MO. The same year I started with the t-shirts, I bought several rental properties. The net cash flow on them is about $12,000 per year, nothing crazy, but I currently have about $250,000 in equity, so not sure if that counts since I don't consider that profit until I sell, if ever. It costed $3,500, computer, printer, data foam line. 4 months. Environmental engineering. Leveraged business knowledge and contacts into securing annual support contracts. Most support was provided remotely via direct modem dual-up. Upsold additional services. Did $200,000 in 14 months and grew too fast. Sold my contracts and employment to a similar firm instead of hiring 2 to 3 employees. Kept my same salary plus a bonus sign-on of $175,000. Used that to pay off mortgage. After 25 years I semi-retired back into my original company. Still making over $100,000 per year working 4 to 6 hours a week. Security technology sales. 5% commission on projects with over 30% GPM. 6 months in, I closed a sale for a pharmaceutical company of 7 locations, turnstiles installed plus 410 access control card reader rip and replace across those locations. Made everything else possible. Stocks, CDs, joint venture, commercial real estate, etc. I still work here and have declined to move up because the commission is uncapped 5% off the top. I sell roughly 3-5M a year on top of a 110K base. I own a pet care business in Florida, dog walking, pet sitting, mobile grooming, dog training. I started with $700. It took 1 year. I did a lot of good marketing via FB groups and ND groups, found an industry problem and made a solution, and grinded with hardly any days off. Well, I made my first $100,000 over about 3 years out of college. The trouble is, I was making so little I had to spend almost everything and couldn't save a ton. For the past 14 years I have saved a set percent of my income to retirement and investments like index funds, real estate. It took me 11 years to break the $100,000 threshold in my retirement accounts. I just hit $50,000 in my non-retirement investments and my real estate net is about $300 cash. It's been incremental gains the whole way. Pharmaceutical sales. It was risky, but I started on credit. 0 down. The first month was slow, but made $100,000 net in the second month. The first few $100,000 is easy. Competition, though, is literally cutthroat. As are my creditors. While in business less than a year, there was more business than I could handle myself. One of my independent contractors, tip, don't extended credit, though, lost an insurmountable amount of product to the authorities. I'm currently on the run with a warrant, and am down to my last $100,000. But I have a giant balance due to my creditors who will find me before the police, or even after the police do. I guess the silver lining is that even though I'm a big spender, the remaining $100,000, uninvested physical cash, will last me the rest of my life. Country, USA. But this can be done in pretty much any country. I worked a normal job and saved 10% and now 15% of my earnings in a retirement account. No special trick here, just savings. Would probably be double if I also was not a mass consumer. I like spending money. In property/business premise. I had 0 capital and got a 100% loan on a poorly ran business that was on N's ass for really cheap. It came with the property. Luckily for me, it was just when the house prices started to rise and in combination with me turning the business around, I made just over £120,000 on that one property. Took less than 2 years. US took about 12 years part-time to develop B2B enterprise system in an aviation niche, with a few of the years doing no work on it at all. $80,000 was the initial investment when it was about 90% finished to be able to quit my full-time job and complete it. I marketed it that final year and my first customer's down payment paid for most of that investment. Typical system sold for about $250,000, but I offered it for $150,000 if they could take delivery a year out. I had 2 more sales that year for a total $300,000 net. Started with $5,000 in college, flipped cars while in school, did that for a few years, bought and sold my way up into 2 nice cars worth $60K total and about $10K in the bank by the time I finished. Moved 1,000 miles away from my parents, sold both cars and got a cheaper car. Started working in a small call center, worked my way into different positions over the course of 2 years, became good friends with the owner, got a piece of the business while it was still small, 10 to 15 employees, by using the money I had to invest when the biz was down on funds. My salary went up and I kept saving, eventually got to $100,000 like 3 years working there. 5 years later, the biz took off and now has 200 plus employees, and I got a bigger piece of the pie. It's a mid-8-figure company now. eBay. And then when I bought a house for $140K in 2016, did some sweat equity work, and sold for $310,000 in 2020. No capital gains either since I lived there for 3 years. Walked out with $175K cash. They say the second $100,000 is easier than the first $100,000, so make your second $100,000 first. But in all seriousness, if you're creating a pipeline and flow of business right, setting follow-up, engaging with the customers, and being a generally good person while doing it, then the business will flow in so smoothly that the first $100,000 felt hard, but it's because you've lined up $200,000 in revenue flow, and the rest is en route. Located in the central US. I started a painting business. Very low startup cost, easy to do on the side, if you know what you're doing. We ended up doing just shy of $225K our first year. First 4 to 5 months were slow, but things really took off around month 6. Well into our second year, and we're going to easily double that. If you work hard, you will succeed at anything you set your mind to. Thanks for watching and being on the road to Read a Millionaire with us. So, what is your opinion on the topic? How did you make your first 100K? Or how are you planning to hit it? Let us know. Until next one.